The following WCIA sports presentation is brought to you by Loman Ray Insurance Group and Pontiac RV. This is the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show.
Playoffs are upon us. The brackets are out and state title dreams are in sight. Welcome to the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show. I'm your host, Bret Beherns. Andy Olson and Brice Bement will join us coming up from Memorial Stadium, the site of this year's state championship games. But we start with our two Hall of Fame coaches, Stan Wienke and Mike Allen, former GCMS coach and Tuscola coach, here to break things down. Mike, a little different scenario for you this year. Retired. What was it like being on the sidelines watching?
Went by fast. Not as exciting as it would be coaching, but it was nice seeing the kids out there playing and seeing different games this year. So it just went by way too fast.
It always does. Stan, what does this time of year mean for you?
Well, it's the most fun time of the year. It's been great weather so far, and still doing a little volunteer coaching. You can really see, since I'm around, the difference in the kids. They're having fun.
Let's set the stage on this year's postseason. 256 teams made the final cut and are in the playoff field across 8 classes. 30-plus teams from the WCIA 3 viewing area are in. 5 of those are number 1 seeds. Across the state, 24 schools remain unbeaten. 6 from our viewing area with 9-0 records. And one other unique note, a 4-win team made the playoffs this year in the 7A bracket. Buffalo Grove, 4-5 with 56 playoff points. The 8 state championship games are set for the 2 days following Thanksgiving in Champaign. WCIA 3's Andy Olson and Brice Bement join us from high atop Memorial Stadium, the site of this year's championship games, but it could be the last.
Brett, the bids are in. The process closed in September, and now the IHSA Board of Directors is set to make a decision on where it will host its state championships in December. And Brice, this has big implications on high school football in the state.
The IHSA wants a 5-year continuous contract for the state championship, and that's an issue for the University of Illinois in its current format. The Illini host Northwestern here every other year on the same weekend as the IHSA title game.
We'll find out soon whether or not the IHSA decides to uphold its 5-year same site requirement. We'll have plenty more later in the show here from Memorial Stadium, but for now, Brett, we'll send it back to you.
All right, let's get to the brackets. We'll start in 6A and work our way down. Stan and Mike will be giving their picks along the way, and state title winners for all 6 classes with area teams represented. Mike, Centennial is doing things it has not done in a long time. First time back-to-back playoff appearances since 2014 and 15. And you actually like them to move on and beat Crete-Monee. They're always tough. What do you like about Centennial?
Centennial, they were 7-0 going in, to last 2 games. They got upset by Collinsville and Normal Community. And they were very close games, so I believe that they have things going in the right direction. Coach Jackson, the last 3 years, 0-9, 6-5, this year 7-2, so they have the momentum going. I believe they're a team destined with some upsets, and they have some confidence right now, even though they lost those 2 last games. They played them very close against 2 very good teams. All right,
a little tougher to predict a 6A winner with so many teams in the northern half of the state, but Mike, who do you like here in the Final Four?
I have Lamont beating East St. Louis, which was a tough pick because East St. Louis, their history that they have, but the last few years Lamont's been playing well, and then playing Grays Lake North, and then I have Lamont winning it all.
We'll see what Lamont can do there, the top seed, undefeated. Stan, who do you like in your 6?
I think I'd go Prairie Ridge to win.
Okay.
I think they're going to upset Lamont.
All right, we'll see where that goes from 6A. Nothing like the excitement of finding out you're a 1 seed. Muhammad Seymour watched the IHSA Pairings Release Show together. You saw that on our sister station, WCIX 49. Muhammad Seymour headlines the Class 5A area contingent. The Bulldogs finished the regular season 9-0 in back-to-back years for the first time in school history. But now they've got their sights set on going even further than last year's quarterfinal appearance. A 1 seed for the first time since 2004. The Bulldogs say they're ready to make a run.
I mean, we've had 3 goals all year, back-to-back conference champs, back-to-back undefeated seasons, and now we're pushing for a 4th goal of the state title. So just pushing to get past that and continuing this amazing road that we've started.
You got that 3rd one to go get, and you can better believe we want to get further than the quarters.
Here's a look at the South 5A bracket stand. The Bulldogs at the very top there. They control their own destiny at 9-0. Maybe one thing to critique about them, though, if there is one thing at all, 34 playoff points tied for the 4th lowest in the 5A bracket. How much does that matter playing close games throughout the year? Because they really haven't done that.
Well, I think if they were close, that would be very important. But I think the way that they're handling people, I would bet that most of the players on their team have no idea what their points are, and they don't care.
They just want to play games and get to this point. This is what they've been waiting for all year. Jacksonville and MacArthur, the other area teams in the 5A bracket. The Crimsons and Bulldogs could play. That's what you've got them predicted to in your bracket here, Stan. But you've got them going a lot farther than just this second-round matchup to play Troy Triad in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I'm extremely high on Muhammad. They've got a 2,000-yard passer at QB, the bomb kid, and they got a 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver. And as you get a little bigger classification in footballs, I think you've got to play more of a well-rounded game, and I like them getting to this point and playing triad.
And you like them even further than this as we move on to the Final Four here for both of you guys in 5A. Stan, we'll start with you. Sycamore Morgan Park. There's Muhammad Seymour in Peoria. I know that'd be a tough matchup with Peoria, a Big 12 team facing against an Apollo team, but you've got them advancing here as well.
Yeah, I've got Sycamore over Morgan Park, and then I've got Muhammad over Peoria. Peoria played Centennial recently. Defensive struggle, but I'm an offensive guy, so I just think there's going to be points put on the board.
And you like Muhammad Seymour to win it all.
Muhammad Seymour to win it all.
And Mike, you are the same way here. You got a little different matchup here. You got Muhammad Seymour playing Kankakee, but you're high on Muhammad too.
I am. I think the toughest game for Muhammad to get to this point is Morris in the quarterfinals, and that's going to be a tough game for them with the tradition that Morris carries. But Muhammad, they've been working. They were there last year. I believe that this is their year.
Our first two brackets are in the books. 4 more still to come here on the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show. Plus, a Hall of Fame career is in the home stretch.
I didn't even think anything like this.
Sacred Heart Griffin head coach Ken Leonard hanging up his whistle at the end of the season, but he's got one last state title chase in him, and he may have one of his most talented teams yet. More on the loaded Cyclones next. Welcome back to the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show. High school football still feeling the effects of COVID-19. IHSA leadership decided during the pandemic not to enforce the success factor for non-boundaried or private schools during the 2020 non-playoff shortened spring season. So a new 2-year cycle that would have started this season in a normal world bumped back, meaning schools such as Sacred Heart Griffin. You may have wondered why they were in 4A along with Joliet Catholic this year. Despite winning a state trophy last year, they're playing in 4A once again. I know the public schools probably don't like that if you're Rochester. It is what it is. The rules are the rules, but that's kind of tough for teams like Rochester in 4A and all the other teams in there that probably don't want to see SHG.
Here at GCMS, we dropped, we're at 301.5, but that's from our seniors when they were freshmen, so we're still based off 4 years ago, and that's tough. A lot of things change, and public schools aren't big fans of it.
Mike, here's the southern half of the 4A bracket. We'll circle back to SHG in just a moment, but we're highlighting Rochester and Effingham here, and you have the Rockets beating the Hearts going on to play Mount Zion.
Rochester, their program is just outstanding. They've lost one game this year, I believe, and that was the Sacred Heart. So I have Derek Leonard and them going to the semifinals playing his father.
Here's the bottom half of the South bracket, SHG, the 2 seed. And I think a lot of people think if they don't win out here, maybe running clock for a lot of this, then that's kind of an upset along the way.
They have almost 48 points differential between their offensive scoring and their defensive points they've given up. And that's just unheard of. That is outstanding. They are on a mission. That team is not going to let Coach Leonard leave without a state championship, I believe.
Mike, I think everyone is picking SHG to make it to Memorial Stadium. You've got them in the Leonard Bowl, SHG, Rochester in your Final Four. It's got to be SHG, right?
I believe it has to be Sacred Heart Griffin, but the semifinal game is going to be just as exciting as the state championship game will be. The father-son last game, going into the state championship, I think that's just a storybook right there for itself, and I'm just excited to see if Sacred Heart can finish it.
Would love to see it for Ken Leonard to go out a winner. Who do you got, Stan? Similar paths here.
Very similar. I had Richmond Burton up there at the top, and I had to go with Ken. This might be the first time in Memorial Stadium one side of the stadium is going to be full.
For more on Leonard, we go back to Memorial Stadium. And Andy, you're at the place Ken and the Cyclones hope to be in a few weeks playing for a state title.
And it wouldn't be Leonard's first rodeo at Memorial Stadium. He's won 4 of his 5 state titles inside these columns. But there was a time when the state's all-time winningest head coach was still looking for his first, and he hasn't let that pursuit leave him.
I didn't even think anything like this.
Before all the championships and accolades over his 47-year coaching career, Ken Leonard was still trying to prove it. Despite more than 200 wins and 2 title game appearances to that point, the Sacred Heart Griffin head coach was missing one thing, a state title trophy. That is, until 2005.
And for the first time, The Cyclones can call themselves state football champions.
Yeah, it was tremendous relief. I mean, because I started in 80 and didn't get it so it took me 25 years.
And after winning that first, the dam was broken, and SHG won 5 titles over the next 10 seasons, its most recent at Memorial Stadium in 2014. After falling in the 4A title game a season ago, Leonard's 2022 squad returns a lot of the same pieces, and they remind him of those championship teams.
This team, skill-wise, is as good as we've ever had. I mean, they can really score, and they're very explosive. And when you can do that, you got a chance.
It really gave us like that confidence, that experience, and all that to push each other to get better at practice every day and know our goal is to make it to the state and win state this year.
And the Cyclones are more than aware this is the last call for their legendary coach. More than anything, they want to send him out on top.
Every time he talks with us, he says that it's not all about him, and we know that, but we're just trying to make it all about him. For him, we want to put that last bit of icing on the cake.
I want them to experience that. They got to experience the state championship last year. Now we got to win the state championship.
With an undefeated season, Leonard is now up to 414 career wins. And with another title run, he can move 50 wins beyond the next closest coach, Bret.
Time for a quick timeout, but we're back with the Class 2 and 3A brackets next. And for one top seed, a big bet is paying off.
I didn't think we were going to be very good. So I said, if you get 5 wins, I'll come back.
He's one of the area's best players, but he almost didn't go out for the team his senior year. More on that story next as the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show continues. Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show rolls on with Class 3A, 6 WCIA3 viewing area teams in the mix for a title here. And we're going to start with a team, Stan, you like to make some noise. That's St. Joseph Ogden moving on here as a 7 seed, advancing all the way out to the quarterfinals in your bracket.
I think they're better than Racine. You know, they've lost 3 games, but you're talking about Bloomington Central Catholic, Prairie Central, and Unity. So I think 7's a little bit deceiving where they're setting. And they've got a 2,000-yard passer at QB. They've got 2 good receivers. Ty Pence came back out. They've got weapons a lot of people don't know about.
And I'm really looking forward to this one at the top with Prairie Central. Stan, you've got them advancing as the top seed. They're undefeated. If we could get a Prairie Central and Unity rematch, I think that'd be a lot of fun in the quarterfinals.
I think Prairie Central will. They've just got talent. I mean, they've just got talent. Not that they don't at Unity this year. Unity seniors have played in an awful lot of wins. So I wouldn't count them out, but I wouldn't want to be either one of those schools' representatives and placing a bet. Yes. You never know.
The Hawks have plenty of weapons, but are led at quarterback by senior Drew Habercorn. The dual threat quarterback almost didn't go out for the team this year. His friends on the Hawks made a deal with him prior to last season, and it's certainly paying big dividends now. Prairie Central just finished its first regular season undefeated since 2006, and Habercorn a big reason why.
No hate to the team last year, but I didn't think we were going to be very good. So I said, if you get 5 wins, I'll come back, and they obviously did that pretty easily, so I had to come back. But I kind of just came in and, like, you're playing quarterback. I was like, all right.
We both play 2 other sports together, so we know each other really well, and our team knows him, so I think we still have a lot of trust in him, even though this is his first year playing varsity football.
I have a feeling Prairie Central will be favored in a lot of brackets, and yours included here, Stan. You've got them playing for a state title between IC Catholic.
I do. You know, IC Catholic and Byron. Byron's a little bit of a higher seed, but the North is going to be really good. But I have Prairie Central going all the way.
Be fun. They haven't made it there since the early 2000s to play for the state title. Mike, who do you like? Still Prairie Central there. You got Williamsville in the bottom half of the final.
I have Williamsville. They lost 1 game to Monroe Forsyth in the middle of the season. IC Catholic is just a tough team. They play a much bigger schedule than a 3A schedule. But Reed Cussler is tough. They've had about a 50-point differential between their offense and defense.
Class 2A features 2 heavyweights, and they're both in our viewing area in Maroa Forsyth and St. Teresa. WCIA3's Brice Bement joins us from the place where they could clash for a championship here in a few weeks, Memorial Stadium. And for the Bulldogs, it's title or bust.
That's the mentality for St. Teresa as they hope to return after falling short last year. As head coach Mark Ramsey says, the team's excited for the challenge.
They're a fun bunch to coach because they like competition and they're ready for the next game.
The 9-0 Bulldogs are projected to make it to the 2A state championship game for the 2nd year in a row. But this time, they don't intend to stop short of Memorial Stadium.
We saw last year we have to take every step. We can't take anything for granted, as losing to Nashville last year, which still stings to all of us. We were projected to be in the championship last year, but we didn't make it. We're projected again this year, so we got to make sure we get there.
Last fall, undefeated St. Teresa was up in its semifinal game versus Nashville before losing 37-35, one game short of state. Now, with the majority of seniors in the starting lineup, they're using that game as motivation to make it to the end.
We want it really bad. We've been working for it since we lost last year to Nashville, and that really has stuck with us all throughout the season, and we just want to get better every day.
We always remind each other of what happened last year and how we fell short. We don't want to feel that again, especially as all of us are seniors.
I do think that, talent-wise, they've got the potential. They're really looking forward to some really good games in the playoff run.
St. Teresa will face the 5-4 Chester at home on Saturday. The last time they played for a state title back in 2016 here in Champaign. Brett.
There's the top seed, St. Teresa. They control their own destiny, undefeated season throughout. 11 total area teams in 3A. And Mike, you like 5 of them to move on, including Pena, to face St. T in the quarterfinals. Pena's quarterback Max Lynch, he's got some threats.
He has over 1,800 yards rushing and then over 23 touchdowns this year. And so, that threat that you give to run the ball, they're going to come up, and then he can throw over the top of you. I think they're going to be a very tough out for anyone.
Let's look at some other teams here of note from the area. And Arthur Lovington Atwood Hammond has a game breaker in Illini commit Caden Fagan. One kid can't obviously win you a game, but he can certainly help you big time.
At 6'2", 235, he could get a lot of yards for you, and so they've been tough to take down. They haven't played inconsistent, though, all year, and that's what scares me. Like you said, one guy can't win a game, and the other guy's going to have to step up to support him.
Shelbyville here, you've got them winning at least one game in your bracket before falling to Nashville, setting up this St. Teresa-Nashville in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, and I have St. Teresa winning it. Their defense, I think they had 3 shutouts this year and then 4 games where they only gave up 1 touchdown. So their defense is they're definitely strength, and I think everybody else is going to have a tough time scoring on them.
Meanwhile, on the top half of 2A, Maroa Forsyth is the top seed. It's not often our WCIA3 viewing area gets a #1 ranking in both the northern and southern half of one bracket. The Trojans are the outright Sangamo champs at 9-0 after beating Athens in a Week 9 title game. With multiple offensive weapons like Aiden Reiser, Caden Maurer, and Jack Horv leading the way, Maroa Forsyth says it's primed for a deep run.
If we can leave a legacy and leave history on this school, it'd just be breathtaking.
This year is like our first year in a while that we've been actually able to do something since like COVID, and last year we didn't have a very good year, and this year I feel like we have just all the right people at all the right positions to make a long run.
Here's the top half of the 2A fold with Maroa Forsyth in that 1 spot, undefeated. We're going to focus here, though, on Bismarck hitting Rossville Ave in the 2 seed, taking on Westville. It's a rematch from earlier this season in a VVC game when the Blue Devils beat the Tigers 52-7, Stan.
Yeah, Coach Dodd's got them rolling again. They're 9-0. They've got 3,000 yards rushing this year. They got 1,500 yards passing. And I've got them going a ways. I think that they'll be good. I think their schedule is a little stronger this year, going to the new divisions in their conference. So I think they'll be fine. And I have them going to the 3rd round.
We'll see if they can get that far. Here's your Final Four: Maroa Forsyth, Wilmington, St. Teresa, and Shelbyville. You've seen the Rams this year, Stan, and you like them getting all the way to the Final Four.
We've played both St. Teresa and Shelbyville. Shelbyville has a lot of athletes. If they're all healthy, which you never know right now because we're not playing them again, they can cause some problems.
We'll see how that works out. And you've got Maroa Forsyth winning it all in 2A, Stan. So very similar here, Mike. You've got Maroa Forsyth, Wilmington, St. Teresa, and Nashville with this matchup that I think a lot of people are looking forward to see for your state title game. Who do you have winning it all in 2As?
Well, I'm worried about Maroa getting past Wilmington, defending state champions last year. That's going to be a good game. But I have seen our Maroa winning this. I think just with the history, what they have, they're on a mission this year.
Crazy if we could get 2 teams separated by 10 miles playing for a state title. Pretty awesome that they went north and south in that. 5 brackets down, but still 1 more to go as 1A takes center stage coming up. And we hear from Tuscola. The Warriors are back in Week 10 after missing out last season. 8 area teams highlight the Class 1A bracket. Iroquois West is the only squad that went north. Ridgeview, Lexington, the top seed was Salt Fork, Tuscola, Jacksonville, Route, Villa Grove, and Central A&M represented in here. Let's focus on the very southern part of this. Cumberland, Stan, you like them?
They did well under conference. Their losses were Tuscola and Shelbyville, so a little bit bigger schools and a bigger conference. They held their own, and I think they'll be fine.
Tuscola is back in the playoffs after missing out last season. That hadn't happened since 2012. The previous time before that, all the way back in 1993, Stan was in his 4th year with the Warriors then. Players say getting back to the program standard of being a contender in Week 10 and beyond was a motivating factor all season.
Our seniors, believe it or not, you know, a couple of them dressed and they were freshmen, not a lot of them in the playoffs in 19, and so they're kind of going through it for the first time, which is rare that we don't have much playoff experience.
As we grew up watching all our teams go to state and deep in the playoffs, it's exciting to know that we're finally here too.
Stan, you like Tuscola all the way to the Final Four. What do you think of the Warriors making that run?
Well, we need to get healthy. We've had some injury problems, but, you know, you look at the bracket, I just think 1, 2, 3, and 4 are going to the semis. And I sort of just went with the numbers here, but Lena Winslow might be the class of the operation again, unfortunately, but they've done really well in the North. But I have Greenfield beating Tuscola in semis.
Yeah, Lena Winslow, one of the best teams traditionally and won a year in and year out. And Mike, you've got them there as well with Ridgeview Lexington, a team that you've seen playing Central A&M.
Yes, so the Heart of Illinois Conference, I have to represent them here.
There you go.
But Ridgeview Lexington, they beat Eureka, who was in the playoffs in 3A. They beat Tri-Valley in 2A. So they're a loaded team this year, playing very well, made it to the quarters last year. But I do have Lena winning in the end. They're too good of a program.
Thanks to everyone who helped us tackle hunger this fall. We partnered with the Eastern Illinois Food Bank, collecting monetary donations and non-perishable food items at every one of our 9 Friday Football Fever Spotlight games of the week, helping people in need right here. And don't forget, you can watch all 8 state championship games live on our air. Our sister station, WCIX 49, brings you all the action November 25th and 26th from Memorial Stadium. That's going to do it for the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show. For our Hall of Fame coaches Stan Wienke and Mike Allen, Andy Olson and Brice Bement, I'm Bret Beherns. Enjoy the postseason and best of luck to all of our area teams in their chase for a championship. Good night.
This has been the Friday Football Fever Playoff Preview Show, sponsored by Loman Ray Insurance Group and Pontiac RV.